Good evening. Today we are continuing our learning of Biblical Hebrew. This is class number 3 and we are on page 10 of the first Hebrew primer, and today's topic is the last 5 letters and 2 vowels. Since there are 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, that means we already covered 17 letters. So we have the last 5 letters. Number 1 is tzadi, sound ts, and in some communities they pronounce it as tse, like a Russian tse, or in some communities they pronounce it more like a se, like Persians and Bukharians. It's very similar to a sin, but we will pronounce it as tse, like a Russian tse, nuts. Next letter is kuf, kof, and the difference between kuf and kaf is that kuf is more guttural, and therefore the proper pronunciation would be kof, as opposed to kaf is a simple letter like Russian ka or English k, but kof for more advanced students is more guttural. And the third letter is reish, and as I mentioned before, reish has various pronunciations depending where you are coming from. In Russia, and that's the reish that I use, it's pronounced as a Russian r or reish. In the United States, English speakers, they pronounce it like English r, reish. They don't say r, reish, but rather reish. And in Israel, they probably take it from Yiddish speaking. They say it more like a r sound, reish. But we're going to use the Russian r sound, reish. That sounds like the more correct one. Okay, and the next letter is shin, if the dot is on the right side, or sin, if the dot is on the left side. So the way to remember it is the right hand of Shema. So when we say Shema, we cover our eyes with the right hand, and that's why it's Shema. So Shema, shin has the dot on the right hand, just like we cover our eyes with the right hand. And sin with the dot on the left side is like a regular S, sun sound. Okay, and the final letter of the Hebrew alphabet is tav, as in tall. And here, since we're following the Sephardi pronunciation, they are not differentiating whether the tav has a dot inside or not. Ashkenazim would say it differently. If it with the dot, they would say te. Without the dot, they would say se. Sephardim pronounce both te and te. Now, there are some Sephardim that do differentiate between tav with a dagesh, with a dot, and without. With the dagesh, they would pronounce it as te sound, and without the dagesh, they would pronounce it as a th in English, th sound. Te with a dagesh or the without. And this helps us to explain why in English, strangely, whenever they transliterate a word that has a te sound in it, they spell it with th, like Beth Israel. Beth Israel. Why Beth Israel? And that is because Beth Israel is spelled with a tav without the dagesh. And so according to the Sephardi pronunciation, in some communities they would say Beth Yisrael. So the English Beth is the exact transliteration of the Sephardi pronunciation. However, for simplicity, we're going to use the standard Sephardi pronunciation that say taf, te, for both taf with the dagesh and without the dagesh, to make it simple. Now, the two vowels that we are going to learn make the o sound, and that can be either with a dot on top of a consonant, or it can be a vav with a dot on top. Both of them make an o sound. And the second vowel is the u sound, as in zoo. And that can also be written in two different ways, either with 3 dots under a letter, like a letter, or with a vav with a dot next to it. So the two sounds that we're adding, the two vowels that we're adding are o and u. Okay, some notes, 1 through 5. Shin and sin are the same letter. In Torah, it is written the same way. The Torah doesn't have dots, and therefore both shin and sin are the same letter, and whoever reads the Torah needs to know how to pronounce it correctly. Shin is pronounced she, as in shape, and sin is pronounced as se, as in sun. Note 2, taf and tet, again in Sephardi pronunciation, taf and tet are both pronounced the same way, te as in tall. Note 3, kof and kaf are both pronounced the same way, K as in kitty. And again, this is for beginners. For more advanced, kof is more guttural than kaf. Sin and samech are both pronounced the same way, se as in sun. And note 5, the new vowel o appears to the left of the letter and may be written in two ways: as a dot on top of the vav appearing to the left of the consonant, or as a dot to the upper left of the consonant. So remember, two ways of writing o sound. The sound is the same whether the vowel has a vav with a dot on top or just a dot on the left top of the letter. For example, od and od, spelled differently, pronounced the same. Note 6, the second vowel, u, may be written in two ways: as the letter vav with a dot in the middle appearing to the left of the consonant, or as 3 dots underneath a consonant. Both have the same sound. For example, root, root, spelled differently, pronounced the same. Now, on page 11, note 7. The vav is not a vowel and a consonant at the same time. So sometimes it may be confusing and you have to pay attention. Vav is a consonant, but in this case it is used as a vowel. When a vav functions as a vowel and is sounded as or u, it does not have the sound of v, as in vine. So even though it's a vav with a dot on top, we don't say vo. We say the sound of the consonant before, and only the vowel o is pronounced. With the dot in the center, the vav sounds like u, as in pool. With a vowel under it, the vav sounds like v in vine with a vowel sound. For example, vel, or vet, or viva, or veal. So again, sometimes the vav is a consonant with its own vowel, and sometimes vav is just another way of writing vowels or u. when a dot or appears next to a shin, the dot from shin usually combines with the vowel. Which means, since shin already has a vowel on the right side, the O sound of the previous letter may combine with the dot of shin. And so you will only see one dot, but it will serve as both the O sound for the previous letter and as a dot for shin. For example, Yoshev, you can either write it with a yud with a dot on top, which makes sound yo, and then a shin with a dot on the right side, which makes it shin with its own vowel, two dots underneath, which makes the sound she, Yoshev. Or you can write it with just one dot, combining both dots into one since they're next to each other, and you will read it as Yoshev again. And the way to know it is you look at the letter before. If it doesn't have any vowels, that means that the same vowel, that the same dot is used for its vowel as well as the shin's dot. Another example is Moshe. Moshe can be spelled with two dots, one as a vowel for m, mo, and one as a dot for shin, Moshe. Or Moshe can be spelled with one dot, functioning both as a vowel for mo, m, o, and as a dot for shin, Moshe. Now, next exercise are look-alike letters, starting from right to left. Aleph and Tzadi look similar. Aleph and Tzadi. The top of it, of both letters, is the same. A diagonal line with another diagonal, shorter diagonal on top, except that Aleph has a leg that is vertical and Tzadi has a leg that is horizontal. Chet and Taf look very similar, except that the Taf has a tail and Chet is just straight. Ayin and Tzadi look very similar, except that the right side of Ayin is connected all the way to its lower leg, whereas the right side of Tzadi goes till the middle of the letter. Ayin and Tzadi. And the next two similar letters are Reish and Dalet. Reish is curved, rounded, and Dalet is more perpendicular, two lines that are perpendicular. Okay, now check up words which are English words with Hebrew spelling. Starting from right to left, top line, note. Second one, coat. Rule. Coca-Cola. Second line, show. Again, Ashkenazim would add a w sound to it, show. Sephardim would not. They would pronounce it just as show. Next one is su. Sin with a u sound. Su. Tut. Betsy. Betsy. Now, reading practice. Line 1 on page 11. Zug. Saw. Saw again. Tzuv. Tzi. Tzach. Tza. Tzafa. Second line. Kov. Kod. Kut. Kab. kuv. This word kuv with a kuf and two vavs. The first vav is a vowel for kuf. Second vav is a consonant, and it doesn't have any vowels, which means at the end of the word it's just the sound itself. Kuv, kav, keys, kuku. Third line, rot, ruv, ruv, rok, rak, ra, ri, re. Now fourth line, sho, shoes, shoot, shoch. So here in the word shoch, the letter shin has dots on both sides. So what is it? Is it a shin or a sin? And the answer is that it's a shin with a dot on the right side with a vowel o on its left side. So it's pronounced as shoch. Sha, sheet, shov. Line 5.
Rabbi.
Yes.
So sorry. If we go back to line 3, the last two words, re and ray. So how do you pronounce it again? Is it re or is it re?
No, Sephardim don't pronounce y sound at the end, and even Ashkenazim only say it in an a sound. Ri, everyone pronounces it as ri. The last word re, we pronounce it as re, and Ashkenazim pronounce it as rei.
I see. Oh, I see. So is this the reason when we had one of the examples, the English word key, I think it had kuf and yud, and it's pronounced key. So that's the reason, because it's for the Ashkenazim?
Yes, yes.
I see.
That's why in the checkup words, the first word on the right is note, but in Hebrew we would pronounce as not, because Ashkenazim also add the W sound to the O sound. O, we say O, and some Ashkenazim even say Oy, so they would say noit. Note, we say not. Okay, so again, we're going to practice according to the standard Sephardi pronunciation. Now, line 5. Su, sol, sul, sus, sak, sid, sav, se. Line 6. To, tuv, tug, tod, ta, tav, tiz, tek. Line 7. Mavet, la mut. Next word, a little bit hard. Iver, iver. Ur, kur, vatak, David, dod. Now we go to page 12. The 5 final letter forms. As we mentioned that some letters are written differently whether they appear in the middle of the word or if they appear at the end of the word. We call them end letters, or in Hebrew they're called sofit, kaf sofit, mem sofit, nun sofit, pe sofit, tzadi sofit, or in Yiddish they're called end letters. And the chaf, and the mem, and the nun, and the fe, and the tzadi. So there are 5 letters in Hebrew that have a different shape when they're written at the end of the word. The regular and final forms of the letter are still the same letter, and they are pronounced the same way. So chaf, written as in the middle of the word, is like a C turned upside down, turned around C, chaf. But when it is end the letter, the sofit, the leg of Chaf is lowered. So that signifies a stop. When the letter is like this, so you're continuing. When the letter puts its foot down, that's it. That's the time to stop. That's the end of the word. And the same with the Nun. Nun is like this, but the final Nun puts its foot down, and it's just a long stick. Same with a Fei. Fei looks like this, depending how you see me. And then the final Fei puts its foot down. And the Tzadi, the same thing. The foot is horizontal, and the final Tzadi puts its foot down to show that it's a stop. And Mem is the only one that's not exactly like that. We call it a open Mem, where there is a little slit in its foot, and a closed Mem. And that's the final Mem to say that that's it. You finished the circle, you ended the word. That's the end of the word. That's the end, the final Mem. Okay. And we have some examples. On line 1, for letter Chaf, Shachav Zachar. Middle letter Chaf is used. Lach Kamocha. Final Chaf is used. For letter Mem, line 2, Ma Imi. Regular Mem is used whether at the beginning of the word or in middle of the word. Em Yom, final letter is used. Line 3, Na'ar. Ba-na. Letter Nun is used at the beginning of the word or middle of the word is regular. Amen. Ben, final Nun is used, and it looks like a long stick. Line 4, for letter Fei, Nafal Shafat. Fei regular, and Af and Kaf, the final Fei is used. Line 5, Tzadik. For Tzadi at the beginning of the word, or Matzah, Tzadi in the middle of the word, regular Tzadi is used. Etz and Ratz, final Tzadi is used. Now, a note about final Chaf. The final form Chaf is usually written with 2 dots inside it. And sometimes the 2 dots are omitted, and we know that the 2 dots are there because that's the rule in Hebrew. At the end of the word, if a letter doesn't have any vowels, it means that it has 2 dots. That means that it's just the sound of the consonant. Sometimes vowel kamatz, the ah sound, like a little T, appears inside the final form cha. Okay, now reading practice on the bottom of page 12, line 1. Lach, kach, elech, alecha, banecha, tzad, metzav. Line 2, ma'yim. Here you have to be careful to pronounce the yud, not ma'im, which is a common mistake, but rather ma'yim, because yud is a consonant and cannot be omitted. It does have its own sound. Ma'yim. Am, em, matzah, shamar, bam, with the final m, tzafun, with the final nun. And line 3 on page 12, ben, shana, nin, nata, natan, lun, efes. Now on page 13 we have a summary of similar letters, summary of possible pitfalls. Here's a review of all the look-alike letters in the alphabet. Nun and Gimel, Daled, Chaf and Nun could be confused. Vet and Chaf. Vet has a tail at the end and at the bottom, and Chaf is rounded. Aleph and Tzadi. On the second line, Nun and Chaf. You should analyze these letters, review them so that you can recognize exactly what letter it is and not to get confused. Nun and Chaf. Hey, Het and Taf. Three letters that look similar. And again, Hey has a split in its side. Het is just like a door frame, and Taf has a tail on the bottom, like a foot. Zayin, Vav, and Yud. Mem and Tet. Third line, Reish and Daled. Yud, Vav, and Nun. Mem and Samech. The final Mem, which is a closed box, and a Samech, which is a circle. Tzadi and Ayin. Here's a review of all the letters that sound alike. They're written differently, but they sound alike. Starting on the right top, Vav, Vet and Vav. Both sound as V, Vet and Vav. Samech and Sin. Both sound as Se. Aleph and Ayin. Even though Sephardim make Ayin more guttural, but for beginners they're both silent. Kuf and Kaf. Again, for beginners they sound the same. For more advanced, Kuf is more guttural. Het, Chaf, and final Chaf. And again, for more advanced, Het is guttural. Chaf and final Chaf are like Russian Che. Taf and Tet. For help distinguishing some similar looking Hebrew letters from one another, look for the following. Is the letter narrow or square? For example, Reish versus Vav. Does the letter extend above the line like Lamed or below the line like Kuf? Are the corners rounded or squared with an overhang? Chaf is rounded and Bet is more square. And now exercises. First comes the written exercise that you should do at home. Write the last 13 letters of the Hebrew alphabet and the 5 final letters 10 times each. Write each first without vowels, then with the vowels, except for the final letters. As you write, say the sound aloud. Be sure to include all the possible vowels that you have learned. So this should take some time. And here you're practicing your writing skills. You're also practicing saying the words, the sounds, the letters, and you're practicing the vowels as well. Very good exercise. Takes time. Do it on your own. And exercise 2. Practice reading the following words aloud. Be careful not to confuse the letters that look alike but sound differently. And in this exercise, they actually put all the potential letters that look alike, and we have to differentiate them now. 1. Dam, Ram. Notice the difference between Dalet and Reish. Dam, Ram. Number 2. Sachar, Shavar. Chaf and Vet. Sachar, Shavar. Number 3. Gas, Gam. Differentiate Samech from final Mem. Gas, Gam. Number 4. Tesha and Chodesh. Taf can be confused with the Het. Okay. Number 5. Sus and Sus. Sound the same, written differently. Number 6. Kav, Ken. Here the two letters Kaf and Kuf sound the same, written differently, and the two letters Vav and Nun look similar but pronounced differently. Kav and Ken. Number 7. Kach, Lan. the final kaf might be confused with final nun. Kach, lan. 8. Ir, let's. Differentiate between ayin and the final tzadi. Ir and let's. Mum, tum. Number 10. Kana, bana. Number 11. Nad, gaz. Nun and gimel are similar. Nad, gaz. Number 12. Im, tzim. Ayin and tzadi are similar. Im, tzim. Number 13. Nahar, naham. Hey and het are similar. Nahar, naham. Number 14. Av, tzav. Aleph and tzadi are similar. Av and tzav. And finally, number 15. Haya and haya. Haya, haya. Haya means she was. Haya means she lived. So, different meaning. Haya can also be a sound, a noun, which means an animal. Now we turn to page 14. Exercise 3. The following Hebrew letters form English words, and they have no meaning in Hebrew. So it's just English words spelled in Hebrew. Find the English word in the list below that matches each Hebrew form. So I'm gonna read them, and you yourselves practice it and connect it to the English word. This way you'll make sure you're reading it correctly. Again, there will be some words that are going to be hard to figure out because they wrote it according to Ashkenazi pronunciation. For example, ad, ad. Number 1, ad. Number 2, seed. Number 3, shits. Number 4, sin. 5, yacht. 6, goat. Goat. 7, doze. 8, bed. 9, pad. 10, lawn. 11, hat. 12, oats. 13, nem. Some of these is going to be hard because Ashkenazim add a y sound. For example, in 11 they would pronounce as hate, hate. We say het. In 13 they would say name. We say nem. 14, red. 15, net. 16, tel. 17, bees. 18, tar. 19, tu. 20, uz. 21, kev. 22, def. 23, ret. 24, loom. 25, car. 26, meat. 27, zoom. 28, key. Now exercise 4. Read the names of the letters in the Hebrew alphabet aloud. They're listed in alphabetical order. So here we have all the aleph bet, and they are written not only as the first letter, but they're written out as the full name of each letter. The initial letter of each word will tell you which letter is being named. Write all the forms of all the letters in the Hebrew alphabet and copy the correct letter name next to each other. So we'll read it, and then at home you have to write the letter and its name. The letter and its name. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Het, Tet, Yod, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samech, Ayin, Pe, Tzadi, Kof, Resh, Shin, Sin, Tav. Exercise 5. Read the following combinations and write out the two that sound alike. Or for the quick exercise right now, you can just circle them with a pencil. Line 1. Marom, modim, manos, modim, shalom. So which two words sound alike, but they're spelled differently? Modim and modim. One is spelled with the vowel E with the yud. One is spelled E without the yud. The second one is spelled vowel O with a vav, or, and one is spelled O without a vav. They both sound modim, modim, but written differently. Line 2. Noten, goel, gefen, gonev, nofel, gonev. So the two words gonev and gonev. One is spelled fully with both vowels O and E, with the O spelled with a vav and E spelled with the extra yud. That's one difference. And the second difference is the first word gonev is spelled with a vet. Second word gonev is spelled with a vav. Both sound the same, gonev. Line 3. Yahad, Yosed, Hodu, Hamon, Yahad, Hazak. So the word Yahad and Yahad sound similar. Again, for Sephardim, we would say Yahad, guttural, and Yahad, not guttural. And also the vowels are different, but we pronounce them the same. Line 4. Erev, Tzava, Tzara, Erev, Etzel, Ose. And the two words Erev and Erev sound similar, but again for Sephardim, the first one will be Erev, the second one will be guttural, Erev, with the ayin. Line 5. Ratzon, Dorot, Derech, Dorot, Rasha, Shem. So the two words are similar, Dorot and Dorot. They sound the same, spelled differently. One is spelled with both vowels or spelled with a vav, and one has only one or sound with a vav. The first one is without a vav, just or, do. And the final letter in the first one is tet, the next one is taf, but both are pronounced the same, dorot. And line 6, sefer, sarah, shamar, samach, shefer. I'm sorry, sefer. So the first word sefer and the last word sefer are spelled differently but pronounced the same. One is spelled with a samech, one is spelled with a sin, and one has an extra yud for its e vowel. Now, we go to page 15. We're doing a lot of exercises. This page is the last page for this chapter, chapter 2. So let's try to finish this page, and you will have to review all the exercises that we do, review them during the week, and also do the exercises that we skip that are written. Exercise 6 on page 15. The following are all real Hebrew words. Read them aloud until you can read them easily. Line 1. Eden, Elef, Banim, Beged, Shabbat, Lech, Zera, Hen. Line 2. Horef, Tahor, Yom, Ken, Lechem, Melech, Nasa, Suru. Line 3. Etz, Adom, Pam, Baruch, Tovim, Tzafun, Rechem, Kav. Line 4. Rahatz, Kedem, Af, Ach, Yayin, Kanaf, Levi, Magen, Red. Line 5. Sarah, Ahav, Natan, Achal, Sur, Amar, Avar, Asaf. Line 6. Eretz, Shoel, Saneh, Shana, Zulato, Hu, Ner, Im. Line 7. Zaz, Valad, Levav, Tzara, Matana, Rosh, Shavatz, Egel, Akum, Shemesh, Tabaat, Hametz, Laredet, Shaveh, Bam, Im. Line 9. Kum, Zeitim, Makom, Natan, Sof, En, Seter, Toda. The third word from the end, En. The Sephardim would pronounce it as En. Ashkenazim pronounce it as Ein, Ein. And in Israelis might also say Ein, Ein od milvado. But again, according to Sephardi proper pronunciation, it's En. Line 10. 10. Shofar, Even, Boker, Yama, Basar, Ko, Damim. Line 11. Hodesh, Yom, Kol, Kesef, Ata, Banot, Dorot, Letz. Line 12. Of, Afar, Pe, Tzon, Shabbat, Shalom, Bima, Sarim. Line 13. Rasha, Ra, Aheret, Shomer, Sefer, Rabot, Mea. Line 14. Olam, Bo, Allah, Bana, Haya, Zachar, Hazak, Lakah. Exercise 7 is a written exercise to write the first 4 lines of exercise 6. If you need extra practice, you can write out the entire exercise 6. And now, a little story. It's an English story spelled in Hebrew letters. Read and enjoy. See Betty, eat. Eat Betty, eat. See Betty, eat quiche. Eat quiche. Betty, eat quiche. See Bob, eat Betty's quiche. See Betty, beat Bob. Okay, a funny story just for practice. With this, we finish today's lesson. Be'ezrat Hashem, next week we're gonna go to chapter 3. And we're gonna actually start the grammar. Okay, thank you for listening. Don't forget to do all the exercises, review all the exercises we did, and do all the exercises that we skipped. Thank you for learning with us. All the best. You should have success.